Hey y'all, I'm Lauren Toyota from Hot for Food, and today I'm gonna show you how to make pho from scratch. I'm obsessed with pho and I usually order takeout. Lazy, easy, it's the kind of thing you wanna order in. But I have to say, the broths, the veggie broths anyways, are always very subpar. They're very diluted, they're either overly salty or overly sweet, and they're lacking some of the depth of flavor that I really want when I eat pho. So the Ocean's Halo brand is good. Sometimes I whip that up, make it myself, but when you make your own, it's gonna be like level 100 pho broth. So I'm gonna show you how to do it today. It's actually very simple. You need a big stock pot. You just need a few ingredients here. It's best if you can get the whole spices. So I have whole star anise, whole cardamom pods, whole coriander seeds, and cinnamon sticks. If you need to use the dried version, that's fine. You'll just kind of adjust it to taste. You'll probably need double the amounts I've mentioned in dry form, but if you can get the whole, it's much better. We've also got dried shiitake mushrooms which stink to high hell. I don't like the smell of them. They smell like fish when they're dried, but these are what's gonna add that depth of flavor, the umami-ness, and the more deeper flavor to the broth. We're also gonna char up some vegetables, so like a whole onion, a whole roasted garlic bulb, and a whole big thing of ginger. And now you don't have to do this, but in my freezer, I saved my leek tops, and I'm gonna char these up too, because I just wanna use them, and this will add some nice flavor. You could also use shallots, but I like freeze my things to make stock often, like a vegetable stock, but this is a good purpose for these leek tops. The rest of it's pretty straightforward after you make the broth. You can add whatever toppings you like. Of course, you want rice noodles and tofu, and then bok choy, broccoli, carrot, whatever you want, bean sprouts, and then, you know, fresh mint, fresh cilantro. If you can find fresh Thai basil, so good, but it's impossible to find fresh out here. So anyways, let's get started on the broth. It's very easy. What you're gonna wanna do is basically put these things, cut the onion in half, and put all of this under the broiler and watch it closely. You want it to get very charred. You wanna see some color on it. Here's our charred vegetables. So you want like really sort of blackened char marks on here. The time's gonna vary for you depending on your oven. So mine was about 20-21 minutes, but it could be as little as 15 minutes, maybe even less, depending on what type of broiler burner you have going on. So for now, you can just set this aside. It's gonna go in the stock pot just like this. All we'll do is just chop up the ginger a little bit more and the garlic, but everything else will go in whole. So now we're gonna go over to the stove and heat up a stock pot or a Dutch oven, and we're going to have it on medium high and toast our whole spices until really fragrant and they're just sort of popping. You'll start smelling them as well. Okay, we don't want too much smoke, but now we can add in our other stuff. Oh, I meant to break up the garlic. Just break up the garlic so it's a bit more exposed. You can even just like cut the bulb in half basically so that some of that roasted garlic is exposed in here. You also want to add in the shiitakes. And now I'm just gonna add like a drizzle of neutral oil, so about a tablespoon. So my heat's right down because I have a cast iron Dutch oven here, so we don't want anything to get burnt. So I've got it at low. So that's pretty good, and now we're just gonna add a bunch of water. So it's 10 cups of water, and then bring this up to a boil. You can see just by getting everything nice and darkened like this, it's gonna develop a lot of really good flavor. I'm gonna put a lid on here just to get it boiling quicker. So once it's boiling like this, just turn it down to a simmer and let it simmer for about another 15-20 minutes. So by this stage, now you've got a nice caramel, dark brown colored broth, and it smells like pho. It's an undoubtedly pho smell, right? So what you want to do is carefully strain this broth. I obviously can't really show this stage because my camera setup is crazy, but just get another pot and a sieve or strainer that you can set over top, and then do it in the sink because it's so hot you don't want to spill anything. You can also just like squeeze everything so you get all the liquid out, and then you're really just going to discard this. When all is said and done, you've got about 8 cups of stock. because there is some evaporation that happens. And in the meantime, you would have prepared all of your vegetables that are going in this pho, right? Just season it. I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. Then you need just a little bit of sweeteners. So I'm gonna use agave. You could use regular sugar, it's fine. And now you still need to add salt, okay? While you're doing this, just heat the broth back up over medium or on a low simmer. It's perfect. You might want it saltier, you can add more salt to taste. Pho is usually a huge serving, right? So this is kind of like 2 large servings. You're drinking like 4 cups of broth, or you can split that into about 3 servings and do just like under 3 cups of broth per serving. It's entirely up to you. I'm just kind of eyeballing it here, so I'm doing about 3 cups per serving. So you can either cook all of your veg in the broth for about 2 minutes over like a boil, or you can cook them when you do the noodles, if you're gonna do the noodles in a separate pot. And really the veg just takes a couple minutes. You want them to remain crisp and not get too soggy or overcooked. That's the key to this. If you're doing any dilly and dallying, do not leave the vegetables in the broth. Just fish them out, put them in a separate container. If anything, just undercook them so that they don't get soggy. Whew. It is hot in this kitchen. Okay, there is the pho. This tofu I did not make. I bought it this way, so it's kind of like that crispy air pocket tofu that I got at a Japanese grocery store. You may have seen me talking about it in my Lauren tries an air fryer video on my personal channel. All right, enough talking. Eating. So you want to add lime juice to taste right at the end before serving. You don't want to heat the lime juice too much. I've already added mine. This is not hot enough because it's been sitting around. Pho needs to be like hot. So anyway, get it really hot. You'll obviously eat it in real time, not the way I eat things. Food blogger problems. It should be so hot that you can barely touch it. Now you may want to add sriracha, hoisin. I'm gonna taste it first before I add anything. But remember, the reason you're adding a ton of hoisin and a ton of sriracha when you order takeout is because the broth is so flavorless. If you make this broth, you shouldn't really have to add much. Like, I'm not gonna add anything. It's very hard to eat. How am I gonna do this? Ooh, I actually don't love jalapenos in it. I was just trying to be fancy, but some people like that, but I don't. Too hot. Oh Lord, they're too spicy. I hate them. Raw like that. So skip the jalapenos if you want. They make things unedible. They're too... I'm having a problem today. This is not the greatest thing to be eating on camera, so how about one more bite and then I'll call it a day. Super delicious. Maybe you want to make the broth one day and then just have it ready for the week. The broth will last a while in the fridge. Of course, you can freeze it. When I say a while, I mean like probably a week. It's obviously fresh, so you don't want to be keeping it around forever. And if you're not going to get to it within a week, then freeze it. And then, I mean, the rest of it just comes together so quick. So it's really just the broth here that takes the time. Can't get enough of that tofu. All right, give this a try. Let me know what you think. Are you gonna make pho broth from scratch? Or are you just gonna stick to your usual mediocre takeout? Guess the choice is yours. Leave a comment below. Thank you for watching. Head on over to the blog, hotforfoodblog.com, for the full recipe. The link is in the description. What else? Pre-order my new cookbook, Hot for Food All Day, coming out March 16th. Remember, if you pre-ordered or if you pre-order right up until release date, you get a free ebook called Just Dessert Stuff. 10 amazing recipes for only dessert stuff. Never before seen, will not be in the printed cookbook. Totally bonus, free content. So you claim that on hotforfoodblog.com. The link is below as well for that. From any retailer, just keep your receipt or your proof of purchase from your online pre-order, I should say. You'll also get an invite to the digital launch events happening on December 16th. We're gonna do 2 to accommodate different time zones. So if you pre-order, you claim your ebook, you're on my mailing list, and you'll get an invite to the digital launch event for Hot for Food all day. It's gonna be so much fun. Okay, I'm gonna leave now. I'm gonna turn off the cameras, I'm gonna eat my pho, and yeah, that's all. Okay, see you guys soon. Bye.